Miguel is pushing hard, and this is quite a nice little fight for him. Although it doesn't look like much. Wow, my stream's gone offline, hasn't it? Has my stream gone offline? Someone say, please. It looks online on my computer, but I heard an error message and it's gone offline on my phone. That's weird. Fortunately, I didn't press anything before it seemed completely... I didn't press anything until I made sure. Okay. Trying to re-establish my grip of where we are in the game. Yeah, Miguel is way ahead of Loiser in terms of numbers now. 30 Knights being upgraded to Cavalier, whereas Loiser's on just 7, and he's a little bit behind in villager numbers, although that is made up for by the fishing ships. So it seems like Miguel's going to be able to be the aggressor where the pockets are concerned. Looking at the left hand side, Zuppi, after winning the water, is now laying siege to Lix's base. Some castles peeling up on the front along with trebuchets. Arbalest in the mix, obviously. He's matched up against Byzantines, isn't he? Looks like Lix will defend with castles and actually getting plate barding army. Is he dropping stables anywhere? Is going to be his answer? Don't know if I like that, because it's going to be easy for Zuppi to add in some halberdier as well, and Japanese halberdier is just so extremely strong. Nice strategic castle by Zuppi there, getting that hill just outside Lix's base. May even hit that gold mine for Lix, which will be pesky. But Zuppi's saying help because he's being flooded by Miguel's Cavaliers on the front, and they're also looking for a way into the back of Zuppi's base, and here we go. Found a hole. Looks like a possible overchop there, and also a gap in the palisade in the house, and Miguel is in with 20 Cavaliers. Loiser's here to try and deal with some of those, but he hasn't brought nearly enough, and Zuppi's, I think when he cried for help, he was possibly only talking about what was going on in the front, losing his army there to put those +4 Cavaliers, which Arbalest don't do too well with. But now he's, I don't think he even realised how much trouble he was about to be in with all of those Cavaliers diving through the back of his base, and he's now saying GG because I don't think he's too happy with Loiser right now. He's kind of trying to go aggressive against his flank. He feels he's doing well here, having won the water, pushing against Lix, and he's being demolished from behind by the pocket, who Loiser isn't really occupying enough to stop him from just having his way with Zuppi. Loiser's military numbers are 19 now, which he does have Paladin, which Miguel doesn't yet have, but it's not far off. But the numbers just aren't there for him. I guess he's getting onto a respectable amount now, and Miguel hasn't gone up from more than 20 or 30 that he's had for quite some time now. So maybe Loiser can pull it back. Zuppi's GG call probably wasn't saying, oh, it's over. I think NaBs is still in a good position overall. It's just a cry of frustration, I think, that he was ready to push against Lix and then just lost quite a lot of his economy. And he's actually now pushing against a Byzantine player who has 40 more villages than he does. So that's going to be quite hard. And Zuppi with just 65, it's barely enough to really maintain much of anything. With castles going down, both castles going down on the front, Lix with Trebs behind walls taking down those castles. Zuppi has been completely pushed back on the left hand side, so maybe NaBs will, lost all, says Zuppi. So maybe NaBs will have to turn their attention to the right hand side, where Spaden has fully secured the water for the rest of the game, basically, unless he carelessly allows SY to retake it, redock, although I don't really think they will be thinking about doing that, to be honest. With a lot of the fish having gone, its strategic value has diminished now. But in terms of land, don't see Spaden pushing too much on the right hand side just yet. We'll investigate that more in a little while. Just pay attention to what's going on the left here, where looks like Loiser's losing more and more paladins relative to how many Miguel's losing here. Check upgrades. Both players with all the upgrades done, but I think Miguel's just taking better fights. His KD is insane, 150 to 80 at the moment. Obviously some of that is killing off Zuppy's arbalests and villagers, but still, it seems like Miguel is having a way better time against Loiza, who is minus 25 kills as Frank's pocket in a game where if he's not directly matched up against Miguel, he should be bullying other players with strong Frank's paladins when no other player on the map has too much. Seems like DS hasn't really been doing much for a while. I guess he's been slinging Miguel in a Castle Age slinger now. Now that Miguel is doing the damage, he seems to be advancing the Imperial Age and transitioning out of it. I'm going to cycle the overlay. Actually, no, that's how do you do it? Okay, because I assume that DS has been doing Castle Age sling. I haven't paid attention to it for... Wow, no he hasn't. What's he been doing? He's got no military. He's just... I guess he got so far behind, only 30 villagers, that he's just been booming this whole time, but he got really delayed. So Miguel is doing this all under his own steam, not with a sling. Big engagement between his paladins and Loiza's paladins here. 42, 47. Yeah, pretty much even numbers on the map for the two players. Whether they're all concentrated here, I don't know. It seems like this is a relatively even fight where both players are just going to kill off each other's armies, and you know, there's not really a victor in the fight. It's just both players trading. NaBs seem to be falling out here. We will die, says Zuppy, and Loiza just goes, "You're smart." And Lix wasn't doing stables; he was doing elite cataphract. When I saw that plate barding armor, I thought it's going to go knights versus Japanese as Byzantines. That doesn't make any sense, but cataphracts and trebs and capped rams makes a lot more sense. And in the middle of the map, it seems that Miguel and Loiza continue to just feed their paladins to each other in one eternal war. Has Loiza got a few more here? Looks kind of like it. Miguel's retreating a little bit to recontrol anyway. Neither player, Frank's pocket player, doing much apart from just try to wear each other down by force of attrition at the moment. Nobody's really making a difference on either flank. Looks like Zuppy's just walling like crazy here, trying to keep Lix out whilst he recovers from that attack that he suffered, but his villager numbers haven't increased for a long time. He went down to 60 and he's only on 67 now. He has no space. I mean, if you look at this map, just draw a box around him on the minimap, his map control is virtually non-existent. He's boxed into this tiny space, not really able to take very much gold at all. A lot of his gold is kind of forward and stuck in the forest and too dangerous to gather. Lix has basically laid claim to them. Zuppy has gone mass pikeman with halberdier a little way away. Loiza says 14, start the game already, let's take this fight. But Zuppy, I get the sense, would have wanted to wait just a moment longer to get halberdier upgrade before this fight. With elite cataphracts done for Lix, those pikemen aren't too effective, and they've all but disappeared at this point. Loiza, though, is winning the paladin battle, and those paladins can now turn their attention to taking down the elite cataphracts, and I think that has been a good call by Loiza to take that fight at that moment, because he's won it handily, and so much so that Miguel is calling GG with just as the backup arrives from Spaden's heavy camels, and a really nice game deciding fight by NaBs there. Zuppy was in a bad way, obviously, but Loiza came through for him in the end, despite some disgruntlement on the part and a little bit of, I'm sure, good-natured falling out. They carried it through in the end, and all three players kind of grouped up here to take a decisive engagement and win the game. Although, of course, Zuppy got knocked back significantly. DS suffered a lot of damage early on. He was kind of relying on fishing for his food eco, but then they lost the water this side 2v1 against Spaden, with, well, 2 players on the water. Miguel wasn't going full water. I guess they won it initially, didn't they? They were attacking Spaden's docks, but Spaden's FC Fires was pushed them all the way back, and DS lost all his fishing ships with not many villages, and then he got raided by Loisa's Knights, which probably circled around the left and came in through the unwalled north. And he got so far back that he never really participated in the game after he was knocked down to 30 villages. He just boomed for the rest of the game. Was about to go Arbs and Trebs, but we can see he's made no progress in this game. Once he got taken off water, he just became... He wasn't a factor anymore. He was just in his walls booming. So even though Zuppy was semi-wiped out, he was active in the game for much more of it and still contributed to that end fight, obviously doing good bit of damage with the pikes and the against the cataphracts and the paladins, even if they were wiped from the face of the earth before the dust settled. And then Loisa and finally Spaden carrying the game in the last moment. So more exciting at the end than it initially appeared to be when it was being walled up to the extent it was. I guess that's inevitable to a degree with a map like that. Miguel played so well once again, but not able to carry it on his own. And I think if the SY team that he was a part of had won that game, I think it would have had to have been down to a superstar performance from Miguel really than anything else. Right, that's it from me. But before I sign off, I want to mention the upcoming streams at the weekend. Well, even before that as well. Clan Masters is kicking off. That's the tournament that these teams we've seen tonight were training for. In 3.5 hours, I think. So 3 GMT on Friday. We have the very first game between SY and the Chilean team RCL, casted by Killer B and Marauder, aka Dave, who you may know is the guy that joins T90 a lot as well. Occasionally does stream for us by himself too. That's in 3.5 hours, if I've got my GMT right. Yeah, I think I have. Friday 3 GMT anyway. And then on Saturday 12:30 GMT, our day of streaming will kick off with a Vietnamese team. I think it's not really VNS as such, although I think more or less all Vietnamese players are kind of part of VNS. It's SIDA, which SIDA, versus a Russian team, starting at 12:30 GMT on Saturday. And then we've got streams carrying on all day on Saturday with different streamers involved and different players involved, notably with the kind of like highest profile team playing later on in the day. 16 GMT is Chris's team, with other players like Vinchester, the Max, Ra, Hera, Alive in that team as well. Then on Sunday we've got NaBs playing as well against the ever popular Leo team. That should be a lot of fun at 18 GMT on Sunday, and there's another one on Sunday as well, with potentially more to be added over the weekend too. So look out for a big weekend of streaming with Clan Masters kicking off, and if the time zone is conducive, then you've only got 3.5 hours to wait for the very first game. Right, I'm going to sign off. Have fun guys, thanks for watching and see you soon.